Cory Sandhagen. This could be a really sweet guy. I mean, this really could. I used to do a show on ESPN Plus with Errol Hawan. It's called Errol and the Bad Guy. And I'm doing my typical shtick. I'm giving everybody a hard time. But Errol did stop me a couple times on Sandhagen. He said, hey, man, I feel like you don't know who this is. This is the guy. I really want you to give him another look. And Errol said that to me 2 or 3 times when I saw Sandhagen. And wow, sure. Sure, he looked good. Sure, he looked something special. But I continued to tease him. And we've even got a vernacular now over here at Bad Guy Inc. called a Sandhagen. It's for when you call for something completely ridiculous within our sport, because it's what Sandhagen did. He didn't know his own division. And for whatever reason. I used to go into training camp, guys, just to personalize this. But part of camp, right? Because I went to the same gym every day, twice a day. Never changed. Get a contract, get a battle agreement, and I get my phone out, and I put a date in there. And that's when camp starts, but it's the same thing. I slept in the same bed, I worked out with the same people, same coaches, same time, same everything. Okay. Right there. That's where the intensity is going to change. And another date that I would set was 30 days prior to the fight. I'd stay off the internet. This was before ESPN was involved and you could get it on linear. You guys remember Fox and that deal? Our whole sport was ran on the internet. I'd stay off of .com. So I just wanted to hear anything, right? It was part of my psychological process. Possibly Sandhagen did that. I mean, possibly that is the reason that he had no idea what was happening within his own division at that moment. They tried to give him a world title fight. And he turned it down, having no idea that they were offering it to him. Right? I mean, it's just one of these things. So we call it a Sandhagen. Now, Sandhagen's got a great fight coming up this weekend, and he was doing an interview. And Sandhagen said the words, and I quote, they were talking about doing another fight down the road. And I quote, why wouldn't they want to do it? Comma, it's exciting. Period. Possibly exclamation point. Why wouldn't they want to do it? Comma, it's exciting. Shows a tremendous lack of understanding without even knowing the rest of what we're talking about. The fact that a main event guy thinks that we're just doing things because it's going to be exciting, right? You're in one of these spots. Well, man, what are we doing? Then he lays out his case. He lays out his case and he starts talking about, well, it should be this guy because he lost to him and he beat him. And these guys used to train together. They got to win over here. And this was a no contest. And therefore, if you ever find yourself doing MMA math in the middle of a call out, stop. Stop. If you ever think something is exciting and therefore can get a main event spot and you're a main eventer, so you do think that, stop. Stop. Is it anticipated? Is your only question. Would that fight be anticipated? Because we got all sorts of spots. First of the night, second of the night, third of the night, fourth of the night. We got all sorts of spots for fights we're just going to go make. The main event is different. But this was a main event guy. No big deal. I'm not being too hard on Cory today. I'm just sharing with you my only message in this whole thing. If you ever find yourself in the middle of a call-out, breaking down math and justifying the call-out, stop. You are way down the wrong road. Okay, great. Now hold that thought. Chimaev tells Errol Hawan. Great interview, by the way. Chimaev's fun. Chimaev really is fun. Because when Chimaev says something, no matter how crazy, I believe it. I believe that he believes it. When he says he'll go do something, I believe he'll go do it. If he was to come out and say, I will fight Francis and I'm headed down to the gym to find Francis right now, I would believe him. I mean, it's just one of these things. I really enjoy his interviews. But something that he did, he went back and he banged a drum for the 5th time. But this time the quote is as follows. Alex Pereira would be the easiest fight I ever have in my career. First round, over. That's a quote. Now, when you're setting goals, okay, the goal is going to be a dream. That's going to be the finished product. It's going to be something big. It's what you're aspiring to be. But then when you back off is where the real important things come. That's the steps where you're going to get to the goal. That's the steps where you're going to go to school and you're going to sit in the front row and you're going to take extra good notes, whatever it would be. But those are the parts that you really got to be ready. You may never reach the goal. One thing we need as human beings is aspiration. We've got to have hope. Most people don't reach their goal. But these are the important steps because this now tells you what you're going to do and it shows you your discipline. And I only bring out that a call-out is very similar. Instead of calling out Piera or even calling that it would be an easy fight, we've got to tell the audience right after that. We make the statement, we make the goal, but then we've got to come down and tell them what we're going to do to get there. Piera would be my easiest fight. I'm moving into the division, and Dana White himself has already eliminated everybody but the top 3. I'm going to destroy Piera, and to demonstrate that, I'm going to first destroy Whitaker. Boom, we're done. It is a completely different message. It will be perceived completely different. Just offering for you, right? There's a few things that have happened in the week that we got to button up a little bit. Don't use MMA math at a call-out. Don't start with the final product and not state how you're going to get there. And then let's go look at Leon's coach. Now, you know I don't give coaches a hard time, ever. Different categories. I'm not attempting to give him one now. I want to preface it with that. But we're in a real jackpot. We have a fight that needs to be made, which is Leon versus Colby. And Leon has come out and said, I'm not doing it. So somewhere the media was able to get an interview with his coach. And the coach came out to be the adult in the room. He came out to be the purist that sets all the BS aside. And, coaches do that. And it's real. It's really real when a coach comes out and he talks about this from a competitive standpoint and a competitive stand only. This is what should happen. And when I tell you it's real, it's because he's not incentivized any other way. That is the business he's in. Whether it's an hourly rate to hold and work them out or it's a percent, I'm just sharing for you, like the hype of the promotion, that's just not something the coach is involved in. So he came in to be the adult in the room. Take out all of the Colby can get on Fox News, Colby can bring the attention, Colby can bring the heat, it's good versus bad, it's America versus the UK. Take all of that out. This was the coach's point. Take all of that out. This is the fight that makes sense. And he laid it out. And he was talking about Belal Muhammad, just as his student was. And after he got talking about Belal, and I'm still talking about Leon's coach here, he transitions to Gilbert Burns versus Masvidal. And he could see the winner of that coming through. Great. Great. He just did a lot of things there. Took some interest away from Colby. Helped his client to get what he wanted, which was Belal. Very suggestion that Leon had himself 2 days ago. Also brought up a potential #1 contenders match and put a little bit of a spotlight on them. Stop. Stop. You're done. Stop. He didn't. He said, okay, they always go too far. You got to know when to stop. He said, I hope between Gilbert and Masvidal that Masvidal wins. Because of all the other SHIT that match would bring. Okay, but no, that, dog nabbit, your entire point was that other SHIT doesn't matter. Your entire premise for why Colby should not get the shot, for why Colby should be ranked #1 in the world but not be able to fight for the world title, for why Colby should be 3 years the most perennial #1 contender in our sport, any division, and not get a title shot. Your entire argument was that Belal has been busy. It's a straight line sport. Here's who his opponent's been. This is the right thing. He poked my guy in the eye. Why did he bring up the other, as he put it, SHIT? I thought that didn't matter. It's why you did this interview. All right, now let's recap, guys. Let's recap 3 things, okay? Ever doing MMA math and a call out? Stop. If you have a huge fight fight that you want and you can't get it and you know it, back up to the audience, one step down, and tell them what you're willing to do to get there. And if you find yourself saying too much in an interview, much like if you find yourself in a hole, stop digging.